Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn to ask how are you in German and what would be the possible responses, what would be the conversation around this topic. So let's begin lesson 7. So, how are you? Now, in the last lesson you learned how to introduce yourself in German. In this lesson you will learn to ask how are you in German. So this is a question which we ask on a daily basis, on a uh, in general on day-to-day basis, to the from the people we meet, to the people we talk. So this is a very common question that we first ask people that we meet. So what do we say in German? Wie geht's? In English, it translates to how are you? Now, like in the previous lesson, there is a formal situation and there is an informal situation in this as well. Hence, you ask the question accordingly. If you have not watched the video of the previous lesson, I'll paste the link in the description below. You can go and watch those videos. Now, in German, we say, Wie geht es Ihnen? In a formal sense. And in informal way, we say, Wie geht es dir? Or Wie geht's? So, this is a formal way of asking how are you, and this is informal way of asking how are you. Wie geht es Ihnen? And Wie geht es dir? Or Wie geht's? Now, let's see different ways of answering the question. So first, for example, let's look at some positive responses. Let's say you are feeling fantastic, you are feeling very well, you are feeling fine. So since you are well, since you would be fine, so that should be very clear in your voice, in your pronunciation, in your intonation. Now those of you who don't know what is intonation is the rise and fall of your voice, when you say something, so that the emotion that you are trying to communicate is very clear to the other person. So let's look at some positive responses and then understand what I am trying to say. Mir geht es gut, which means I am fine. All the English translations are in the bracket beside the German one. Mir geht es sehr gut. I am very well. Now, these are some informal way of answering this question, and these two are formal way of answering this question. Mir geht es gut. I am fine. Mir geht es sehr gut. I am very well. So you could also maybe say gut, sehr gut, if you are talking to someone in an informal way. Or you could say super, super, wunderbar, wonderful, ausgezeichnet, excellent, toll, awesome, prima, great, fantastisch, fantastic. So you saw the intonation in my voice when I am answering that I am well, or I am fine, or I am wonderful, or I am excellent, I am awesome, I am great. So this should be very clear in the pronunciation, in your intonation, the way you speak. It should be very clear to the other person how exactly are you. Now, let's look at a neutral answer. So, neutral answer is when you are not feeling well and when you are also not feeling uh, very excited or very great, somewhere in between. So, es geht, which means not too bad. So, do remember again to use the correct intonation. That means rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Es geht, not too bad. Hence, it is very important to use the correct intonation. In order to what? In order to communicate how exactly are you feeling, how exactly are you. Okay? तो ये बहुत important है कि आप इस तरीके से आंसर करो इस क्वेश्चन का, ताकि सामने वाले को ये पता चल सके कि आप एग्जैक्टली कैसा फील कर रहे हो, आप एग्जैक्टली कैसे हो. आप अच्छे हो, आप नहीं अच्छे हो, आप सो हो, वो आपकी वॉइस से पता चलना चाहिए. Now, let's look at some negative responses. So, these are formal way of answering this. Let's look at some. Mir geht es schlecht. Mir geht es nicht gut. Which means I'm not doing well and I'm not so well. Mir geht es sehr schlecht. I'm feeling very bad. Or imagine if you are not feeling well, if you're not doing well, and imagine if you answer this question as Mir geht es schlecht. So uh, the emotion is not very clear from your response to the other person. Now, one more tip, the facial expression. The facial expression also adds to your response. So, again, for example, mir geht es schlecht. Mir geht es nicht gut. So, it's very much clear from your voice, from the correct intonation, as well as from your facial expression. So, we cannot answer the negative responses with a positive intonation, right? So, as I already mentioned, mir geht es schlecht. No, that is wrong. Mir geht es schlecht. Mir geht es nicht gut. Mir geht es sehr schlecht. So, it should be very clear in your voice. Now, if you have to answer this in an informal way, you could use, for example, miserable, which means miserable. Furchtbar, awful. So, these are some informal responses. Now, moving on with the conversation, you can ask and respond. So, for example, some other responses, first look at some other responses. For example, apart from the positive response, the negative response, mir geht es schlecht or mir geht es gut, and apart from the neutral answer, here could be some other responses. For example, if you are tired, or if you are unwell, if you are sick, so what would you say? Ich bin müde, which means I am tired. So the tiredness should be very evident, very clear from your voice. Ich bin krank, I'm unwell. Okay, so moving on with the conversation, you can ask in response. Und Ihnen, so for example, if somebody asks you, wie geht es Ihnen? Mir geht es sehr gut. Und Ihnen, this would be formal way, and this would be informal way. Und dir, wie geht's? Es geht mir gut. Und dir? Okay. Now, you can also answer with auch gut, danke. Now, the reply to this can be anything that we have just learned. Okay? Und Ihnen, und dir, the response to this, the reply to this can be anything that we have just learned. Or if your answer is same as the person asking you, so you can also use auch. So, auch gut, danke. So, danke, why do we add danke in the last? Because it's polite to use danke after telling about your well-being. Hence, we use danke at the end. Auch gut, danke. Now, let's have a glance and let's look at the conversation between two people talking informally to understand the whole scenario better, to understand whatever we have discussed better. Now, so at first we are seeing the informal way. So, hallo Sabina, grüß dich. Grüß dich, Peter. Wie geht es dir? Gut, danke. Und dir? Auch gut, danke. So, this was an informal conversation between two people, Sabina and Peter. Now, let's have a glance and look at the formal conversation between two people. Guten Tag, Frau Cooper. Guten Tag, Herr Stadler. Wie geht es Ihnen? Mir geht es sehr gut, danke. Und Ihnen? Mir geht es gut, danke. So we saw the formal way and we saw the informal way. So that's how you have a conversation with the people you know. If you have learned something from this video, or it was helpful in any way, do like and share this video. And if you like watching my video, then do subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, bye.